Hello, and welcome to the Midwest Dynasty Fantasy Baseball Podcast. You're listening to Tom Brumbaugh and Cody Holla. Cody, how's it going?
Dude, it's going good. We finally got back at it. Missed a week, but you can't keep us down.
Can't keep us down. We are like jumping beans in a hot oven.
Hell yeah, brother.
I don't know why I'm feeling so chill today. I'm going to break out of that.
Yeah, you look like you're about to take a nap. Like you look like you're about to fall asleep. It's like, this is exciting. We're falling asleep over here.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, we took a couple weeks off. Looking forward to having another podcast. Sorry, not a couple weeks off. We missed 1 week. Let's not go overboard here.
No, yeah, we're not that bad. We're still here. We're still hopping.
We did have 1 week where we had a bonus piece of content too.
Right, we made up for the missed week. You're welcome.
Yep. How do you, now that we've had a couple weeks to think about it, what was it like having Anthony on the podcast?
I loved him. I loved talking with him. It was great when I could hear him. It was fantastic. I still think my favorite part of it was when you asked him about his background, knowing that you were talking about Tiger Woods, and then he went into his background as being a fantasy player. Anthony, if you're listening, that was fucking hilarious. Yeah. That was so funny.
Well, the best part about it, I forgot about that. The best part about it was, to us, it was so obvious because right in his head.
I just saw like a freaking like drunk Tiger Woods basically right there, and I was like,
and he's obviously forgot about it by then probably. So he's probably like, my background.
He's like, this is just my room, guys.
No, but it actually was a question I was going to ask him anyway, so it was funny that he just answered it way early.
Because I just saw we both kind of looked at each other, and then we both didn't really say anything, and I was like, let's just let him. Yeah, this is what we meant.
Yeah, no, he was a joy to have on.
Yeah,
it's so nice to have a couple years in a row that we've had some, or more than a couple years. I mean, we've had 3 new owners, all really good owners so far. So We just haven't had Nick on the podcast.
I think that's about it. I don't think we've had Sam yet either. He's been on the other stuff for football, but I don't think we've got him on for baseball yet.
Sam?
Betland?
Oh, we've had him on for baseball.
Have we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm forgetting our content.
Maybe not.
I don't think we have for baseball.
You're right. I just assumed we have.
For football, we have for sure.
Yeah, of course.
We haven't had Alex on yet. We're still missing a lot of people, but come get us for next week. We're looking for a guest for next week. So
yeah, we were honestly looking for one for this week too.
Yeah,
but not actively.
Somebody had to be bowling.
Yeah, we were trying to get fucking Matt the Bowling Man Edwards to come on the podcast.
Yeah, he's too good for us now.
Too good for us. Too busy rolling balls, not talking about balls being hit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, what's your thought from the last couple weeks?
I actually don't even want to make it the last couple weeks. I want to talk about today.
Okay. Sure.
Happy opening day. Minor league baseball. We're back. After 600 plus days, we finally get to see prospects again. We finally get to see them play again. I'm excited, man. I'm really pumped for that.
It is exciting, especially because it's like you can't really move. Like, it's funny that I feel like I've seen more international prospects moving because that actually is a thing. Whereas, yeah, without any stats to see, any players to watch, yes, it is. It almost is like a second season start.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how the needle moves on all these players and whether they actually gain value or lose value. And, we start looking into, the rookies now, not from 1 year, but from 2 years now that are going to start as far as like the rookies from the MLB draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even the guys from like last year, we don't know how they're going to be yet. They still haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm super excited for that.
Me too. That's a nice welcome change. Well, it's not even a change. It was expected, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I hear you.
My thought is something I texted you about, which just reaffirms my disdain. I'm all right. So I'll start the conversation is about the 7-inning doubleheader schedule, and in concert with the runner on second for extras. Those are the two biggest changes that they carried over from COVID rules of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm warming up to the second inning change. What bothers me, or sorry, the second baseman for extra innings change.
Yep.
What bothers me about that is the fantasy scoring on that they still get a run. It's like, and not only that, but it feels like a pitcher. Now they may not. I don't think pitchers get an earned run for that, right?
No, they don't.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But you can't get an unearned scored run as a batter. So it's of course going to count as a run, and I just think that's stupid.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that point. I mean, like the fact that like if you hit it into a double play with a runner on third, you don't get an RBI.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's already precautions set up, or not precautions, but things set up where you can't get certain statistics in a given situation. Why should runs be any different if it actually isn't warranted? And I think that's like probably because honestly, historically, it's never had to be that way.
Yeah, because you're always on for a reason.
Which now it actually should be that way. I agree.
Completely agree. So maybe we'll see that change in like honestly, all it takes is whatever fantasy platforms to make that change. So again, warming up to it to the point where I actually probably might like it in like 3 months. Just takes a while. But something I'm still adamant about is I still hate the 7-inning doubleheader thing. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because of Mad Bum's no-hitter that, who knows, Madison Bumgarner, who knows if he would have actually been able to get it, right? I mean, but that's the thing. No one will know. And so you get like Elias Sports Bureau saying, no, it's not a no-hitter because they define a no-hitter as being like it has to be at least 9 innings or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get other people that are like, nah, fuck them. It's a no-hitter. It's like, I don't want to have to ask these questions. And I understand that is just as likely if they would have rained out. I get that if he was thrown 7 innings through a rain out. But the difference is that feels like there's more of a valid reason to me. So that's my TED Talk.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is I understand where you are upset from, for sure. I get that. And I actually kind of generally agree with you. I think, like, if you're already playing 7 innings, just play 2 more innings. It's not that big of a deal. I do agree with the decision not to mark it as a no-hitter, though. I think there's been
me too.
Yeah, there's been plenty of guys that have gotten 7 no-hit innings, and then they lose in the 9th. So it's like, because he wasn't able to do the last 2 innings, he shouldn't get rewarded for that either.
It'd be interesting to look at the statistics on that.
I think, yeah, if I had to make just a random Cody assumption where there's no, just my mind as backup, I would probably say like the chance of getting a no-hitter is probably like 30 to 40%.
After being 7 innings?
After 7 innings would be my guess.
Probably. It feels like that's about what it is.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, it is really sad that he didn't have the opportunity to actually earn it.
Yeah. And that's not even my whole argument. It's just one more part to just what I don't like about inorganically cutting off 2 innings. Mm-hmm. Again, I understand rain delays. I understand, I guess that's the primary one, rain delays. This doesn't feel like a rain delay. It's like planned to be cut short. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, like I said, it's 2 more innings. I don't understand where it always worked historically in the past. And I mean, I think they should be worried about trying to make games go faster as far as even, not that I feel like they take that long right now, personally for me, but I mean, like, to me, a pitch clock makes way more sense right now than 7-inning double headers. If you want to really improve the game, make it go faster, don't shorten the game like on that basis. Put in something that actually speeds up the game and then still leaves that.
That's a great idea.
Innings.
I would be so down for that. If they had, if they made it, all right, I'm going to add to what you just said.
Yep.
How cool would it be if they made it so that these doubleheader games were timed faster games, so forced to be faster, and had robo-umps?
Oh,
what a great way to experiment with natural games.
I agree.
Right?
If you're already going to mess it up with the 2-inning thing, you might as well just go all the way.
Right?
Yeah.
It's already like not a valid game. So why not just say, all right, we're gonna use the doubleheader as a natural, organic way to test robo-umps. That'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah. I think, well, aren't they testing it in the minor leagues?
Yeah, they're testing, but I'm talking about the majors.
No, I know. But that was just even another thing I forgot when I got excited about minor leagues is they're going to be testing all that stuff. So we're going to have even better numbers because the calls won't be wrong.
God, the amount of times it still triggers me to this day. Just like watching some dumbass umpire be like, sit there and you can tell they have no idea what to call it.
Yeah.
And they just go,
It's like when that happens, I swear to God, Joe West's like neck fat never stops actually going back and forth. It continuously just like fucking moves side to side.
His fucking neck fat has higher spin rate than, than the actual pitch thrown.
Yeah, it does. Can we get a StatCast on that?
Yeah, maybe by 2025. That's pretty advanced.
Where's our StatCast for the umpires? No love.
God. That's fucking funny. So anyway, I don't want to rant about this every week, but it just popped in my head. Well, what do you say we start talking about standings?
Yeah, let's just start at the top, shall we?
Sure. Did you want me to share my screen?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Go for it.
Like you were. Oh, I figured it out. Only the host can participate in screen sharing.
Oh,
So
really?
you need to share your screen.
I mean, I want to share my screen, so we're really good at this right now. If you guys couldn't tell.
Yeah, so much experience.
Yep. So why don't I share my screen? You guys can see all this stuff. All right, guys, here we go. Tom, you want to take us through it?
Sure. To no one's surprise, Cody Holla is at the top. And then it gets kind of crazy after that point, right? So I will publicly say, just so that no one thinks I bias my team, fucking Dylan. Dylan thinks that I overly favor my team. My team is not the second best team. I'm going to just go out and say that. I got a little bit lucky with my matchups. I don't want to name names, but my matchups were fairly easy and kind of boosted my current record. And that's also evident based off of the season stats in Roto, which one of these days we're going to have to get. What has Groundley been doing? Wasn't he supposed to be our guy to do our number crunching?
Yeah, well, he waits till May. It's sometime in May here that I'll crunch it. Generally, after a couple months, he does the whole Roto stuff.
I'm about to pop a cap in someone's buttocks if he does.
I'll talk to him. I see him in softball every Thursday, so I'll say get on it. We're paying him big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, and he's the only one that's capable of doing it because he's the only actuary in the squad. So
yeah, I look at what he does. I don't know what he does. He just tells me where I am, and I just listen to him.
Cody's Roto score is the last. What?
Well, no.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I guess like I just know from the feel of it that my Roto score is probably middle of the pack, which is about probably where I put myself, like fifth. Like I am not a playoff team at the moment, and I've had some pretty bad injuries, so I don't think this is correct. So, with that being said, the team that I do think is very easily in a tier of his own as second is Derek. Like, I think that it's like you're tier 0. Derek is in tier 1 by himself as the second best team. It's the most balanced. It's like his performance, it seems reasonable with what I would have expected. So, yeah. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. I think 2 weeks ago I shat on Derek's team a little bit. I thought it was overperforming. I'd still have to review it, but I don't know. Then again, I didn't think Byron Buxton's success would actually be this long term for obvious reasons, being a very conservative Twins fan. But I mean, he won AL Player of the Month. He's still hitting well. He's starting to get a couple stolen bases now, and if he gets the way he's been playing has actually been like a top 10 outfield level. So it's like if he gets that addition to his team, that's a huge, player for him to have to help catapult him into that second place spot. So I think to me that's his make and break player right now. If Byron Buxton falls off, I think Derek starts falling off.
Well, he's had a couple players too. I guess I will say like Dylan Carlson.
Yeah.
The better Dylan. Dude, that guy has gone off. He has a 345 on base percentage with 19 runs and 14 RBIs and 3 homers. So maybe that is sustainable. I mean, very highly ranked prospect.
Oh, I think it is. He was clearly like a top 10 hitter prospect too.
It's like crazy to see this production this early.
Yeah, but I mean, he started last year and he kind of had a really bad year. You knew he was going to turn it around. You just didn't know when. At least I thought he would. He seemed like he was way too good of a minor league hitter not to have success eventually. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge addition to his team, and that was the whole reason he never wanted to trade him.
Mm-hmm. I still just think it's funny that his team name is the Better Man's doing cards.
Rich Man's.
Yeah, Rich Man's, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I prefer to say Better Man's because that's how I think of it.
That could be your team name. Wouldn't make any sense, but you could have it.
Exactly. And then you look at Derek's pitching too. And the thing is, it's just like he's got a couple key guys, like to me, like from recent pickups, or not necessarily recent, but like in the last 2 years that he's gotten, like Giolito, and then Sandy Alcantara picked up in the draft. So, and then obviously he picked up Josh Hader too before he was like the shit. I don't know. I like his team. And Carlos Rodon, he got him after the no-hitter.
Yeah, that actually was a question I wanted for you. Do you think his success is going to continue at this level? Or not at this level, but like, do you think it, because obviously there's no way it does, but like,
right.
Do you think he will end the year with an ERA under 3?
Good question. I owned him at one point, and I always liked him, right? So he was drafted in the first round out of like North Carolina, I think.
That I don't know.
Or UCLA, one of the two.
Mm-hmm. He was drafted.
He was drafted, but early, right?
Yep.
And so I don't think that anyone was expecting to be this good, but it is encouraging the fact that he's not only just like pitching out of his mind from a whip ERA perspective, but he's also striking motherfuckers out. He didn't even strike. I think he got like 9 strikeouts in his no-hitter. I can look this up in fact. Quick. So it wasn't even the no-hitter where I'm like, oh, he's striking motherfuckers out. It even against like, and obviously his strength of schedule is pretty bad too with Detroit, Cleveland, and Seattle.
Yeah, it's been pretty easy so far. But still, it's
encouraging as fuck.
Yep.
What I will say is that is a fantastic pickup, nonetheless. Even if he doesn't turn out, what a great flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't watched him enough to know anything about him. I mean, I watched him all the time when I owned him last year. Like I owned him like half the season because I was kind of also optimistic about him. And he's got the slider. The slider is devastating. It's really good. Last time I saw his fastball only sat at about 92, 93. I don't know.
Not anymore.
It doesn't?
Oh, man. When he was throwing his no-hitter, he got up to 99.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He was fucking gunning it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how. He has 2 surgeries. Yeah, no,
that explains the success then.
Yeah.
And it actually makes it seem very apparent that I feel like if it is like that actually is true, which I believe you, that makes me think this success will actually be more sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, I can,
because he didn't throw that fast. Like he threw like maybe 93, 92 is like a little bit on the small, like on the, I don't know, small side, but it was maybe 94 max.
Yeah.
Like he really wasn't that fast of a pitcher.
Yeah, and that's where, to me, like, I don't normally like to say that speed is necessarily an indicator of success, but what you can say is that oftentimes speed is correlative to whether or not that player is in their groove.
Yeah.
So, like, if you see a player that normally throws 97, they drop down to 94, that's where I might say, uh-oh, something's wrong with their technique, or they're tired, or they might be on the injury alert.
Yeah.
But whenever you go up in speed like that, it almost means something different. It almost means like, wait a minute, maybe they figured something out, you know? So maybe it is. Yeah, I don't know, man.
To me, what I don't even think that's a good, perspective from that side. I think about it with the fact that he already had a plus slider. He just really, and his changeup was okay. But he just didn't really have anything to complement it. Yeah. If you're throwing 98 with a fastball and then you have the slider he has, I mean, that's Chris Sale. Like, right. I mean, without the wonky delivery, but it's Chris Sale.
Do you have to have a wonky delivery good?
Okay. Yeah, I actually do think there is something to be said about that, about not being able to catch the baseball out of the pitcher's hand.
Sure.
But I think that's why I was so high on Garrett Crochet's, because he's also kind of that same way.
Sure. Yeah, we just talked about him a couple weeks ago. Another White Sox pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will fact check myself. Crazy. His average fastball.
Yep.
His average fastball is 95.
Holy shit. Are you looking on like MLB Savant or something?
Yeah. Okay. His average fastball is 95, but like because it gives you a curve.
Yeah.
He's touched 100. Jesus. And then like his top 10% is 97 and up. So
wow.
He's hitting 98, 99. So
can you look historically how that compares? Because I think they have historics based off of
they do.
Okay.
But I am not sure that I am a baseball savant.
Oh.
I'm sure there's a way to do it, but not quickly.
You should just have like average velo on per
here we go.
Basis on the bottom.
Yep. Well, okay, yeah. View more seasons. All right, so 2021, so 94.9 on his 4th season this year. In 2020, it was 92.8.
Yep.
In 2019, it was 91.4. So yeah, he's never been this high.
That's what I thought too. And I was,
as his average. Yeah, his highest before this year was 94.2. So it's gone up 0.7 ticks from his highest ever.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. Yeah, that actually makes it feel sustainable to me then.
Yeah.
It actually feels like the Giolito factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little bit. It's just like they found that success. Now can they continue? And it's like I think they can with changes. And this will be the second White Sox pitcher now to have undergone that. That was a top prospect that is now finally hitting. It'll be interesting, and this maybe is like a spoiler, but like, I mean, I don't know, maybe not. Will that be Dylan Cease now in a year or two?
Yeah, maybe. Spoiler, you're prophetizing something that we don't know about yet.
I mean, as far as like, I could have just used that to my advantage to try to trade back for him, but
yeah.
He's currently on Alex team.
Yeah, are the White Sox turning into like a pitching coach dream team now too?
Or do they have some of that sneaky pine tar that Houston Astros had?
Yeah, which is maybe something we can talk about later too, with Trevor Bauer specifically, but we don't have to. Yeah, no, I guess the other stat too, just because I'm in here, is the whiff rate. So on a slider, which I agree with you, that's historically he started picking up a curveball, it looks like this year, but it's not really part of his repertoire. It's like literally 4-seam slider and changeup. His whiff rate on a slider this year, after 105 of them, is 48.9%. And that's like whiff rate to me is a very important.
Yeah.
Like that basically, because that tells you how many times you can strike out guys. It tells you how many times you can reduce a ball in play. So half of his sliders are just people are whiffing on. Like
that's insane. That's actually insanity.
Yeah. Which I'm sure if you did a graph with respect to Cleveland, Detroit, and Seattle, they probably whiff a lot as a team, but still.
Yeah, but if you can do that at the majors, it doesn't matter. And at the very least, you know who to start him against.
Yeah.
So like, who cares? I don't know. I think that's great.
So just great pickup. I wanted him too. My story about him was, and I texted Derek after, was that I was looking into picking him up like that day, and I didn't even know he was necessarily pitching. I was like putting a pickup for him in the morning. And then he was throwing a no-hitter. And after 5, I was like, motherfucker, don't throw a no-hitter. Because after 6, or maybe after 7, they start like notifying whoever has all these apps.
Yep.
They're like, oh, Carlos Rodon. So then he finished the 7th and the 6th, one of the two. And I was like, motherfucker, I'm not getting Carlos Rodon.
Yep.
What do you know? Derek picks him up.
No way.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, great player to talk about. So yeah, I think Dylan's team is very balanced. I really Derek's team is really balanced. I don't want to talk about Dylan's team because it makes me think of my team.
Rich man Dylan.
Yeah, the rich man Dylan. Yeah, Derek's team is good. I'm you might be seeing it get better. Who knows?
What?
I don't know. Anyway, any more thoughts about Derek's team?
Nope. That's all I wanted to cover for him.
Cool. So at number 4 is Gronley. Is that real? He's 20-16-4, right? That's what I'll say. That's his record.
My initial reaction is no, but I don't know. This Gronley was the guy that we preseason
we made fun of him.
We knocked him. We fully on knocked him. And like, it'll be interesting to see if he comes back and he's able to stay in this position. I don't know if he will for sure. I don't know. Can you walk me through some of like the players that are hitting for him right now?
Yeah, sure. Well, first I do want to shout out to Anthony from a couple weeks ago because he brought up the fact that Gronley identified himself to his mother. Said, "Mom, I'm a competitor." Anyway, I don't know if you remember that bit about how I do. Said that Gronley identified himself as a competitor, and Anthony just goes, "What does that even mean?" Like identifying himself.
Came out of the competitive closet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that shit.
I've been a competitor my whole entire life, Mom.
Fooled you. Can't help it anymore. So his team is like largely carried off of his pitching so far. So just season stats wise, he's got. He's 3rd in overall, and then in hitting, he's 7th. Roto season stats.
Sounds about right.
Pitching, he's 3rd.
Yep.
So in my eyes, that's where his pitching is really carrying him, which is something that he that's kind of what he was trying to do, was
Yeah.
attack that angle. So it's cool that it's working out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that actually has been where other teams kind of fall apart, though. And it's easy to get that advantage over a lot of teams this year is in pitching, which has been interesting because you think hitting would be the sustainable one, but it's actually felt like the opposite. It feels like everybody's hitting really isn't like necessarily that far apart. We've all been pretty balanced, but like pitching is where you're actually able to like pick up the advantages over other teams for sure.
Yes. And yeah, I agree. Nothing more to say about that. One of the players is Joe Musgrove.
Yeah.
Another guy that throw a no-hitter, and his stats are still good outside of the no-hitter. But the other one is kind of funny, is newcomer is James Karinchak, who is not really the closer necessarily, but he still has 6 saves and holds and a ridiculously low ERA and WHIP.
Yeah, it's such a solid pickup.
It is.
Or a draft pick. I forget he drafted him.
He drafted him. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because I think everyone thought his value was that he was the automatic closer, which isn't even what ended up happening. I'm not going to compare him to Josh Hader, but he's the best example of just like the dominant setup man. So, other than that, on his pitching end, like, it's cool to see Nick Pivetta just like continue to be Pivetta and show up.
Yeah. Well, he just picked him up.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's a good pickup though.
Yeah, it's a great pickup. Yeah. And I shouldn't even say, yeah, you're right. It's not that he's continued, because his breakout kind of fell apart last year. So I shouldn't even say continued.
He's been on that sleeper list for like 3 years.
I know.
Where it's like, pick up Nick Pivetta, and then you get him, and he's like,
right. Yeah. Sorry. It's funny because as I was saying Pivetta, I meant Corbin Burns as I was Burns. So that's the big one that's what I meant. He's continuing to be Corbin Burns after last year.
Yep.
So Jesus Christ, he's good.
Yeah.
And then Julio Urias, right? There he started the year in the rotation, or at least like that was something that I think people were concerned about. Was like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen? Are they running a 6-man? And then like if they're not even running a 6-man, is Urias just gonna be in the bullpen or whatever? But Urias has been pitching great. So
he's had such an interesting career trajectory. Like the fact he started off as this elite prospect who crushed it as a starting pitcher, only to go into Tommy John and miss like 2 years, then to slowly make his way back as a reliever and really wasn't that good, to kind of have a bounce back again and approach kind of the same levels he was at. And now it's like, it feels like he's fully back ingrained as that ace starting pitcher.
And dude, he's only 24. Not the ace.
Yeah, not the ace on that team.
Above.
Yeah, which is fucking nuts.
2 number 1s.
Which is funny because he'd be an ace on any other team.
More than likely. I think Julio Urias is he's a top number 2.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an ace necessarily, but I mean, he's pitching like it, I guess.
Yeah, or a low-level ace is kind of.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that, because he was someone I traded to Gronley the funny thing is I traded him at his lowest point.
Yeah.
He was just coming out of surgery. So, yeah, I'm really happy to see these turning out for him, to be completely honest.
I mean, Andy has Dustin May, right, on his team. And so, like, no. Oh, I was thinking of somebody else.
You are. Unless I'm missing something and he's injured.
I thought he was injured.
Yeah, he is injured. He does have Dustin.
Okay,
I was right, bro. No, you got it.
I remember those are like the 2. Thanks, bro. I was going to say, I remember those are like the 2 pitching building blocks.
But he's getting Tommy John.
Yeah, but he'll be back.
I forgot about that, actually. Shit.
Yeah, that's a huge injury, but I don't know, man. People seem to still come back okay.
Oh yeah, I'm just not for this year. That's why I brought that up. And then eventually he'll get Luzardo back too.
Yep.
So,
and when's he gonna start actually being good?
Yeah, I know.
He was the one prospect that I saw come up that I was like, oh, he looks really good.
He's the real deal. Yeah, and he's shown flashes of being fine, and I should say good, of being actively good. So he struck out a lot of guys this year, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's carried by his pitching, Gronley's team, getting back to that topic. But again, it's just the concern over his batting a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. If the pitching starts faltering at all, he'll drop back down.
Right. So I think that he's another person that if he wants to really rip out of the closet and start fucking dudes,
yeah,
he's gotta like advance his batting. Like if he wants to compete with you and Derek.
Yeah,
he'll make the playoffs probably. I mean, he could. I mean, reasonably.
That's actually where it would be reasonable for him this year, depending on who he wants to sell it to. Would be like sell Dustin May.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're not going to have him this year and you want to compete, that guy can actually gain value for good batters, decent batters right now, especially being the fact he's honestly his pitching trajectory for Dustin May was kind of like Walker Buehler's right now, in my opinion, where he's been really successful. So it's just something to consider.
Well, he's also got 2 high-profile prospects in both Royce Lewis and Matt Manning.
Yep.
So he could toss those guys to someone too. He's got options. So I guess the more I talk about his team, I actually don't mind it. I don't think that it's tough to say. There's maybe that's a nice segue is to talk about like after 1, 2, and after 1 and 2, where is maybe I do put myself up in that same tier with Gronley and put me, Gronley, and Matt probably in that tier.
I think you're still in your own tier.
That's where we disagree.
I mean, you just have injuries, right?
That's what I'm supposed to say. You're not supposed to say.
I know, but I'll say it for you. Juan Soto's still injured, right?
Yeah.
And he'll be back.
Yeah.
So, Juan Soto injury by itself, I think, if he's healthy, it puts you back in your own tier.
It doesn't feel – I'm at the top. I don't want to say I'm that much far ahead. I'm just really down about my team right now.
Sure.
Especially because I just lost Luis Robert for the year.
That's going to hurt.
It's supposed to be out 12 to 16 weeks, which is the year.
Yeah, so that's not good.
Yeah, so I want to put myself at the top of tier 3 or 2, if you call it tier 0, which I don't want to. I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
I'm like the top of tier 3 maybe.
Okay,
and then I'm in the same tier as Matt and Gronley, which raises the next point is Matt's team, who is in 5th, which I think is appropriate, or at least maybe he could be a little bit higher. Maybe he's better than Gronley's team.
Yep.
Which, what do you think about that?
From a hitting perspective, I for sure think he is.
Yeah.
He's just got kind of better overall hitters and better hitters that I personally like. Pitching, he's a little bit behind him for sure. Gronley is way more upside pitching, but it's kind of neck and neck, honestly, for me. I would think that the hitting would have been the reason why Matt would be higher.
Right.
And then the fact that Matt still does have some pitching, it's not like he has no pitching. He does have pitching.
Right.
I still think I put Matt above Gronley right now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is where it's just so funny when you have a couple teams that are just so blatantly tanking. It is just it's just interesting to see how that alters the league. It just feels like it's so further stratified, separated between the tiers even, or the individual teams. And it's I guess the team I'm referencing is Sam by completely tanking out. It's just crazy to see how that affects the league. And assuming you don't want to, do you want to talk about Matt's team a little bit more?
Sure.
Is his team just uninteresting to you?
No, I honestly don't have his team up right now.
Oh, okay.
So
I think you could, if you wanted to, you could explore outside.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, you don't have to show the standings, but
yeah, you guys have seen it enough. Let me go to Matt's team really quick.
Just go back to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
So, just making a
So let's just start with the batting here. He's going to need more production if he wants to actually keep his batting here out of Charlie Blackmon. He's not been good this year, and he's finally looks like he's kind of hit that regressing point that we thought he was going to hit. The rest is kind of just I guess kind of a wide range of players. A couple bad injuries with Santander. I actually just think he was going to have a good year.
Me too.
But, and then Miguel Sano is not worth, I don't know.
A roster spot? Sure he is.
No, he's worth a roster spot for sure. He's bad. He's really bad. I don't know how else to put it. Javier Baez has actually been kind of saving his team, in my opinion. But I could see some regression there from that, especially with the swing and miss.
We've always said that.
Yeah,
it's the same for every year.
I agree, but the difference was I think Baez was a piece of my team, whereas I look at his team and I think who has been the major guy, and it's Baez. Whereas Baez was never my best player. He was generally my second best or third best.
I'm just going to reference the argument we had. Who's better, or Arenado or Baez? It's so close.
It is very close
this year.
Yeah,
but I still think Baez is better.
Yeah, that's totally fine for you to say that.
For Dynasty.
Yep, that's that's the way you view it. Go for it.
Okay.
But and then moving on to the pitching. Walker Buehler is still there. He's having a good season. The Ks aren't as high as you would like, but he's doing a lot better than I thought he was going to do this year, and that's awesome for him. Max Scherzer seems to have a bounce back year. I think
he's insane. He's an ace again.
Yep.
Top 5 pitcher, like crazy.
And then honestly, the biggest surprise, Steven Matz. He traded him to me. I dropped him because I was like, it's Steven Matz. And then now he's actually been having a good year again.
He's decent. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, that's the thing is he's been a like number 6 starting pitcher on a team, and you'd be happy with that. And that's the point, is that's super ownable. Good relievers, really good relievers, which I think help his ERA and whip a ton right now. Couple of disappointments, I would say, though. Frankie Montez hasn't been very good at all, which I just traded to him as part of that Baez Arenado deal. Griffin Canning still looks like he hasn't taken that second step yet. It might be another year or two. You don't know with the majors pitchers.
I know.
But
Plesac has been kind of disappointing too. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
His early pick this year.
He started off so well.
Yeah.
The Max Fried injury also really hurts him right now. I don't know when he's supposed to be back, but
yeah.
That one hurts him a lot because I actually think Max Fried is like his third best pitcher right now.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, when I look at his, and keep in mind also the player you didn't say was Clace, who we talked about when we talked about Gromley's team. That's been an incredibly, he just picked him up like 3 weeks ago, Clace's, and he's been insane too. Like 6 saves in the hold. He hasn't allowed a run yet, or an earned run this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I actually like Matt's team. It's just the batting again. It's just like not there. So
yeah, the batting's not there. He comparing it to Gronley, he built his team just different. He's more on the relievers heavy side.
Yeah,
that aids his team's
pretty solid relievers.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's kind of all I have for Matt's team right now.
Cool.
I'm going just back to the standings.
Perfect.
So next we have kind of finally dipping under the 500 mark, which is perfect.
Which is a teardrop.
Is Nick with the Springfield Isotopes.
Yeah.
So looking at his batting, again, I like his batting a lot. I think he's got really good batters on there. He is very top heavy, but I don't think batting is an issue for his team at all.
No, not really. Yeah, I mean, he's got JD Martinez having a resurgence year. Like, he is kind of top heavy batting wise because like Acuna is unbelievable.
Yep.
Martinez is doing like what he did 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yep.
And then from there, it's kind of like he's got average players. To be honest, like Gary Sanchez we were hoping for a bounce back there, and then like he's been derailed with like a little bit of injury history or injuries here and there, and then like I don't know. Obviously, it blew for him that he lost Jimenez. I think this team would be actually a lot more different if you had Jimenez plugged in.
I think it'd be a great team. He only has a couple of weak spots, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like I think second base with David Fletcher is a weak spot, and maybe his 5th outfielder or 4th outfielder that would need, which is where that would come in because Benintendi's a good outfielder to have. He's actually having a bounce back
after
here.
Being traded, it's great for him.
Devers is super good as a third baseman. I like Alex Boehm. Dansby Swanson is okay, but you can plug him in. Like
he's underperforming to me.
Yeah.
Like by a lot. I don't know what's up with him. He should be doing so much better, especially in that lineup.
I would think so too. But Hosmer's been doing okay as well. Contreras is doing okay. I like the batting a lot. I get that it is top heavy, but I think he can afford to have that. I think also looking kind of at the bottom here, like Gleyber Torres is a guy he generally puts in the lineup. And then Tommy Pham is like not a bad hitter either.
It's like fairly deep. It's deep, but then like he's got 2 players that are just so much better than anyone else on his team.
He's got positional issues. I think second base is a positional issue for him as of right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe if Bobby Witt gets called up and plays second.
God, he's going to be good. I actually think he's
replace Witt.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Bobby Witt's going to be good when he comes up.
Yeah.
But moving now to the pitching side, and we can talk about some of these pitchers a little bit later, but honestly, he's added a lot to where it's okay. I don't love
now that he has Peralta.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I think he's still waiting for Mize to fully hit. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Tristan McKenzie's a good young pitcher though. he's still affected by the injury bug with Soroka, and who knows when the fuck Syndergaard's ever going to come back anymore. He's got a couple just okay pickups, I would say. You know, guys I'm like, oh yeah, they should maybe be there. Good relievers again. Actually, I love his relievers. They might be the best in the league, next to Matt's.
Yeah. With Chapman, Williams, and Kimbrel are the top there.
Yeah, not to mention like Trinan starting to have a good year too.
Yeah, he just picked him up like 2 days ago.
Yep. So I like it a lot. Evaldi is a good pickup that he had too. Evaldi's been one of those guys that's
he gets Tommy John again.
Yeah, that's true. Who knows if Danny Duffy will also continue his success?
I hate Danny Duffy.
I know you do.
God.
I know. I figured you would.
I'm not gonna deny he has had success. I just still hate him.
Yeah, it's just starting pitching is his issue. He just minus. How long is Greinke going to be able to do this? And
we just talked about him 2 weeks ago. I think Greinke's fine.
Really?
I think he's a top 30 pitcher. I
maybe
know,
this year,
yeah, but I mean, still this year, because you were trying to say like he's falling off or that he did fall off, and I'm like, no, man,
he's not. He's doing okay. He's got 31 strikeouts in 40 innings. That's not a very good amount of Ks.
That's not what you have him for. He's a ratio guy.
Yeah, but I mean, the ERA is okay. It's at 3.76 right now.
That's great.
The WHIP's at 1.2.
I agree. The WHIP is bad, but I don't know, man.
I think he's fine to have. I'm not saying he should be owned.
Right.
I'm saying right now he is his first or second best pitcher. That is not good.
Yeah, that I agree with. Well, I don't know why you say first. He can't be his first. He has Kershaw.
Sure.
Kershaw's a manimal still.
I agree with that. Kershaw is the number one there. So his number two then, which is not.
It's not what you want, but he's got decent depth, which is, to me, I'm not going to say more. That's what I love about our balance in our league right now. Depth in starting pitching is as important as top heaviness.
I agree to a certain point, but I think the really good teams still have the top 4 good starters, and then they have depth. Yeah. I think you still need top heavy guys to go with depth. I don't think you can just like
it's an important balance. Yeah. But you can partially salvage a not very good pitching lineup by having good depth. That's my point.
I honestly look at his team, and I don't put it that far behind Matt's and Gronley's. To me, it's not that far behind them. Sure. It is in pitching. He's like the last of that tier to me. Because the batting is
so it's in the same tier, you think?
Yeah, it's in the same tier, but it's the last team I say in that right now. Because, I mean, like, obviously his batting's better than Gronley.
Should we document this so we can reference it in like a month?
When we're wrong? No. I just want to say something hot, and then people just are like, Cody thinks this, but then they forget about it.
Skip.
Yeah, skip. You're wrong! But,
cool. No, I agree. Actually, it's kind of funny. The more I look at these standings at first and I see his teams, and I'm like, ooh. But then when we actually look at them, it's like, they're not that bad.
Well, the next team I want to get to is the one I thought would be a top 4 team.
Yeah.
And I really haven't done enough analysis on everybody else's team, so it's kind of nice to look at this right now.
Yeah.
But it's Dylan's team. Dylan was a top 4 team.
His batting is still pretty good. Pretty great.
Yeah. I think so too.
And deep.
Yeah. Then what's the issue? Like
the pitching.
Is it just fully the pitching?
Yeah, he used to rely on, at one point, wasn't it Chris Sale and Verlander?
Yeah.
So Chris Sale is out right now. He hasn't pitched yet.
Yep.
Verlander, he dropped.
Yep.
And then, so think about those are the 2 guys. That used to be, there were 2 top 5 guys that Dylan had.
Yeah.
Think about what happens to a team when you lose 2 top 5 guys.
Yeah, that is really tough.
That's what I see when I look at his team.
I still think, looking at his team, though, he still does have good starters. Some of them.
Some, like Gallen.
Gallen's good. Brandon Woodruff's good.
Yeah, that's the 2. Sorry. It's those 2, but
yeah,
even Nick's pitching is arguably better than that.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Is my point.
I think it's okay. I actually think it's about in line with Nick's pitching.
No, because to me, Kershaw's a top 10 guy still. And then Greinke's a top 40 guy. And I would put Gallen like top 20 and then Woodruff top 30, I guess. So Woodruff to me is a top 20 guy. He came into the league this year as a top 20 guy. That's not a hot take necessarily. So I mean, and he's having a great season. He's having a great season again. And he's younger. I actually I think his team is about, minus the closer perspective, I think that's where there's a little bit of a difference. Right. Look at his saves holds numbers. He has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 save. Okay, I'm not going to count Pete Fairbanks. Maybe I should. He's got 13 save and holds for his current guys he owns.
I know.
So
because
that's
he doesn't own closers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part isn't good at all. And then Brandon Workman, I don't know why the hell he's even in his lineup
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
I don't know. Sometimes you get attached to guys you pick up, especially relievers. I've found myself getting attached to relievers, especially in save and holds leagues too. Because you get these guys that you remember, like, holy shit, they were the setup man and they had a 1.5 ERA and they got 30 holds that year. I'm keeping this guy.
Yeah. No, I get
But
it.
to me, it's obvious that it's his pitching is the issue, especially with Kopish. Like, it's funny because Kopish is just absolutely dominating as a reliever, so it's kind of funny to see that.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, 30 Ks in 18 innings. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he had, I think, one start this year, maybe two,
Yeah.
and they were good too. But it just seems like they like him in that like long relief role. So
Yeah, I kind of hope they don't.
they don't do that long term.
No, I mean, like, hopefully they're building him out. I mean, he just
They
went
are.
3 and yeah, okay.
They're building him out. To me, a very similar comp is, you're right,
Yeah.
Rodriguez, actually. Both have injury histories, both young guns that have the potential. And
Yeah.
now look where Urias is.
That's true.
By next year, Kopish will be a
That actually is like maybe the way to bring up starting pitchers. It's don't put them in the starter roles. Just get them in 1 inning relief mode and then extend them out from that and then get them back to the starter. That's like
in Kopish's case, it's 2 inning relief, and then he just had a 3 inning too. So it's like
one big thing to note with Dylan's team too, especially with batting, Yelich has been injured.
Yeah,
that is huge.
Yeah,
so
I do think Dylan's team is better than where he's at.
Yep.
But it is surprisingly not as good as I thought.
Okay, I still think he is in that tier 3.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's above Nick, in my opinion. Once you get to Matt, it's
a lot
murky.
Yeah.
And I think he's below Matt. That's what I would put him. I would put it, from what I've seen so far, I think I still have Matt number 1. Then I have Gronley. Then I have Dylan. And then I have Nick.
I think I would agree with that 100%.
And it's tough because the Gronley-Dylan debate is the closest it can be to me. Because that one is really tough to decide.
Yeah, it is.
I
agree.
Just because Gronley's hitting isn't that good, but the pitching is.
I need more stats. Where's my sample size?
Where's my sample sizes? But yeah, I think, unless I'm gonna be wrong here, and we go to Anthony's team, but I think this is another teardrop then.
Sure. Oh, right after Dylan?
Right after Dylan.
Oh, into Anthony? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, especially because Anthony has part of this is that Anthony obviously doesn't want to be competing.
Yep.
So you're going to drop down the tier because he's going to make moves or do something to drop him down below that.
Yeah.
His batting is still insane.
Oh,
I don't think it's I have given up on, because I never actually thought this, but I know he's not the second or the first best batting team.
Yep.
But he has a real chance of actually still, if he was playing the right people, which I still don't think he's necessarily actively trying to play the right people every day.
Sure.
But if he was, I think that he would be the second best batting team.
Yeah.
It's still insane to me.
His depth is incredibly deep.
That's my point.
It does. Okay. The fact that his batting depth, to me, when I look at it, it's too deep right now. That's my.
Yeah, that he could trade. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even looking at bench positions, I mean, he has 6 bench. He has 6 bench batters.
Yeah.
Which means he only has 4 bench pitchers.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying he should make a change. Well, he should make a change eventually. I'm not saying right now is the right time to do it either.
You should trade Wilson Ramos to fucking Dylan so Dylan could start
a catcher and actually have a viable offense. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, I don't know. He has a lot of good outfielders. Outfield is one of the toughest positions to try to get right now. I think he could easily offload a couple of those guys.
Springer.
Maybe Springer's the big one if you wanted to, but I mean, like, even get some of these like lower guys, like Jesse Winker right now is up. Like, you learned it here. Up. Ding, 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 ding. Bye.
Yeah, but I've always liked Winker.
Yeah.
For the most part, but just not this much.
Yeah, I think his power surge has been crazy. I think Akil Baddoo had his fun in the sun.
He's still good. He's just been injured lately.
Yeah, he's also just kind of returned. Like, his stats in the first week were pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And his strikeout rate is ridiculous. He strikes out almost 50% of the time.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
Like, he's returned.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I think he's kind of he had his fun. And
still
now
a good rosterable player.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a fun rosterable player.
But that isn't like, to me, that isn't even necessarily what made Anthony's team so good. It helped, but I agree with you 100% about the depth. It's just like when this team is healthy, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's only got more coming with Riley Green. So we did a whole segment on Anthony, so we don't have to talk about him too much.
Yeah, so I'll leave his team alone there so we can just keep moving.
Yeah.
I mean, next one, we're getting into our guy we're always so disappointed to see where he ends up in. Yeah. So we always think he has a better team, is Alex. And I'm interested to see what's kind of going wrong here. I mean, 17 and 23, he's not awful.
He did drop someone I was upset about, and I can't remember now who.
I don't know.
Okay.
He dropped that guy.
Cool.
Cool. But he's on the verge of getting really good top prospects still coming up to the majors. I mean, Alex Kirilloff just got called up, and I mean, he hit like 4 home runs in a row for his, or 3. He hit 4 home runs in 3 games. So it looks like he started to kind of figure it out after a slow start. Chris Bryant has fully bounced back.
Yeah,
this year so far.
Really well.
He's good. Jose,
the only thing that's keeping the Cubs from not being absolute trash. Him and Baez.
Like, I look at his offense here. I love his offense still. I still do. Like, Luis Urias is fine. He's second baseman, so I'm not that worried about it. Yeah. Justin Turner's still good. I mean, Paul DeYoung probably doesn't need him starting there, especially once he has Wander Franco come up. I mean, Chris Bryant's good. Jose Altuve was injured a little bit, but he's good. Marcelo Ozuna is good. Nick Castellanos is having a great fucking year.
I've always liked Castellanos.
I do too. And then it's like he added a Rosarena to that, and then rounding. I don't know. And this is with Rendon injured. Rendon is normally his starting third baseman. Like, I love his batting. I love his
why
batting.
Is he not performing? Well, first of all, before I say that, so we can move on, he dropped Alex Reyes.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me really sad. And then, of course, guess who swooped in and swoopy-dooped him?
Swoopy Sammy.
Yep, Swoopy Sammy. I was bummed about that, and I get whatever. It's fine. Maybe it is a good drop, but I'm just
I don't agree.
We just talked about him a month ago. Like, we said, like, oh yeah, Alex Reyes is the kind of guy that maybe if he's even struggling now, he's the stuff to eventually be a top 5 closer.
Yep, that's what we kept saying. It's just we've seen it way too many times with guys like that. He's losing because of his pitching.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on that. So
yeah, I mean, like, his pitching's not good.
Well, he's got Strasburg on the IL. He's got Clevenger, who was before the season, obviously, on the IL. 60-day.
He's got major injuries there, but I mean, Blake Snell's been okay. He's been good, but he hasn't been great like you want him to be.
Same with Flaherty.
Which that one is sad to me.
Yeah, but he's still like fine, but he's not like the ace that I think he was turning into like 2 years ago.
Yep. I mean, Dylan Cease, if he can get it together, I mean, as obviously as we're looking at right now, he has a good start, but he's been okay. I mean, the ERA is low, but the WHIP is really high, which worries me about the direction he could go in. But hopefully, if he can get it together, that's another decent pitcher. And then relief pitchers are kind of they are what they are with his team. And we finally saw the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel Lynch make his major league debut.
It was very mediocre.
It was very mediocre.
The only reason he's the legend is because he was drafted way too early.
Yeah.
Like a year, 2 years ago. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind Alex's team.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
That's about what like it shouldn't be this low. Still, when I look at it, it should be between that Anthony range and the tier 3 range, I still think, just because the pitching isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not that far off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To me, he is like another version of Anthony's team.
Yeah, but I would take his over Anthony's for this year.
Yeah, I would too. I agree with that.
Just because Anthony's completely off the rails in pitching.
Yeah.
Like to the point where it's 0-5 every week.
Well, yeah, he doesn't get 4 to 5 innings.
Well, yeah, we can talk about after the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, so then we move into the motherfucker Sam, who's doing the exact opposite of what you're doing.
Yep.
So he's in his own tier at the bottom.
Yep.
Right, where it's like, man, it's actually doing like Sam's team is doing exactly what he wants it to. He's losing a bunch of games, and his young players that are in the majors are playing well. So,
yeah, the guys that he can start.
Right. Like people always forget Jose Ramirez is still only 28 too. Keep in mind.
Yeah, he's good.
So he's having a fine season.
Yep.
Or more than fine, I should say.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker's kind of a little disappointing, but he's still young.
Not really. I thought he was fine.
He's okay. The average is a little low, but I think the on base looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's Andrew Vaughn's season now, especially with Robert out.
Yep. But it's just all goes back to those young players that he has. He has a lot of major injuries too with Cody Bellinger and Luke Voigt. Luke Voigt's actually, I think, a guy he's trying to trade soon here because of the fact he's coming off the IR.
Is that insider knowledge?
I mean, this whole thing is insider knowledge.
True. Yeah, no, Sam's team is fucking fine, and he just keeps making good pickups too. So it's just getting even better, which I can't be unhappy about that. I like to see people make good. Like I really liked his Huascar Yanoa pickup. I don't even know. Is that how you pronounce that?
Huascar.
Huascar, you know?
Yanoa. Yeah, I've honestly never heard of him.
Well,
he's pitching well.
Yeah, he's pitching.
That's cool. You know, he's young, 22.
I read an article about him like a week ago, and I never picked him up. But yeah, he's pitching well today too. Again, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. So anyway, Sam's team's doing exactly what he wants. He's still on pace for the 2023 potential championship run. So
honestly, he might have debatably the Cy Young Award winner in Tyler Glass right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The way that guy fucking went off, it made me really sad to get rid of him, but that's okay. It just was what it was.
Everything has a cost.
Yeah. It was good to see Jose Barrios kind of come back down to earth a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Which I kind of figured would happen.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Mackenzie Gore once he gets to the majors.
Me too.
It
feels like we've been waiting forever.
I know. I don't understand why they keep not having him there. Even with Chris Paddock on the fucking IR.
He's been a disappointment too, speaking of Paddock, but
maybe he'll figure it. They're all young. This is the point. They're all still these young in majors prospects trying to figure it out. Give them 3 or 4 years, and then you know what kind of pitcher they are.
That's why I love you know what kind of pitcher they are? Yeah, sorry. This is why I love fantasy baseball. Huascar, you know.
Yeah, no, I got it. No, that wasn't the question.
Yeah. That's what I love about fantasy baseball, man.
Yeah. I completely agree. But I mean, overall, I think it's gonna be super competitive to see who gets those final spots. I think me and Derek are pretty solidified right now, but it really isn't like a 1, 2, 3, and then who knows, then fight over 4. I actually think it is a fight over 3 and 4 right now.
Yeah. I agree.
So
it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, and who knows what kind of trades get made.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that segue, we can go into one of our trades that recently got made. I'm just going to go down here so we can actually just take a look at it. Here we are. So what we have right here is Nick giving up Novi Marte and a 2022 preseason first-round pick for Freddie Peralta and a 2022 third-round pick from Sam. Tom, start us off.
I mean, to me, the obvious take is that it's like it doesn't make sense. Like that's the initial reaction. Like Nove Marte is the classic example of someone that like isn't necessarily highly ranked in the MLB rankings, but is like an insane fantasy prospect. Like I've seen him as high as like a top 10 guy. And the only reason he isn't highly ranked is because he's not supposed to be in the league until 2 years from now. Like he's 19. So again, this is exactly the kind of prospect Sam wants. So that when he's breaking out in 2023, the Nova Marte is that rookie that's coming up and starting to contribute. So immediately you say, okay, Nova Marte, kind of a guy that you want to hold on to generally. But then you start looking at the fact that it was Nova Marte and a 2022 first round draft pick. It's like, ooh, that's a lot of a cost. Hopefully the other side of this trade is high value. Okay, so then you look at the other side of the trade that Nick receives, and it's Freddie Peralta, who I said this before the podcast, and I think you agreed. To me, Freddie Peralta's ceiling is a top 30 guy because of the fact, and obviously that's subject to change, but because of the fact that his inconsistency is so high, that his like in a really good season for him, he's gonna walk a ton of guys and strike out a ton of guys. Top 30 guy. Right now, I think he's top 40. That's where I put him at for this year alone. So I like the Sam side of the trade so much more.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to realize this year, too, is while third-round picks were still viable this last preseason, they're not going to be viable in 2022.
I mean, they're good. You shouldn't say viable. A third round pick in 2022 is still in historical years. That's kind of where the draft ended. Actually, was the end of the third round. The end of the third round is rosterable players.
I agree. Historically, we haven't really had. I think we've maybe had one preseason. Well, no, we haven't even had this one yet, where we followed up the midseason draft.
Is this what this pick is? Midseason draft?
No, this is preseason.
Oh yeah.
But we're gonna have the. No, I'm saying we've never had a preseason. We've never had a preseason follow up a midseason draft yet.
Yeah.
And my opinion is that the midseason you scoop up all the new rookies and prospects.
We did. The year we didn't have COVID. We didn't play because we had COVID though. So we had a.
Did we have a midseason before that?
We had a midseason, and then we had the preseason draft, and then like a week later, we were like, oh yeah, maybe we're not.
Oh sure. I think you're right, but I don't know. I can take a look at it. I don't think. My opinion is I don't think the third round is going to be that much. I get it; it'll be 301. But
I think, and I don't want to be that person to. I'm just going to say I think the third round is the last round where you can get a rosterable player.
Yeah, but there's a clear difference between the round 1 and round 3,
I agree.
where like round 1 could actually be a valuable player.
Oh yeah, like legitimately dynasty valuable.
Yeah. And I think round 3 will be like an okay, like it's just such a dart throw to me at that point that I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And like you said, how much do you trust in Freddie Peralta? He has had what he's doing this year. He has done before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember on Sam's team 2 years ago, he did the same exact thing, or 2 or 3 years ago.
Which is why he's to me just like a starter that really is destined to be a reliever someday. That's always how I've thought Peralta was, and maybe that's just like an old take. But
yeah, I mean, I think he can stay a starter. I think he can be a number 3 starter. That's what he appears to me. Your 3 starters are guys that have high upside potential. They could also just blow up. He is pretty young. I mean, he's only 24.
Yeah.
So I mean, he is in that range of the in majors prospect of where he's just trying to figure it out. And maybe he will figure it out fully. I mean, he shows that the ceiling, in my opinion, is actually really high, if anything, given the fact that he has the strikeouts to go with it. That if he keeps the ERA and whip under control, he actually is like a top 20 pitcher, in my opinion.
It's a good time to buy him, I guess, to that point.
Yes.
It's like everyone wants to believe that this is just.
I completely agree.
Yeah, so it's like I get it.
Sam sold him at the exact right time. Yes. And I don't think this is his
But it's
true
also
value.
being bought at the right time, too, potentially. Based on what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I what I'm saying is I think the price he paid, he's a good player to buy.
Yeah.
The price he paid for him isn't like he was a good player to buy.
Yes.
That's my issue.
It's like Noelvi Marte for Peralta would have made more sense to me even. Yeah. But I still would probably rather I know that actually I would be fine with that in most respects.
The Marte for Peralta. Yeah.
But then it's tacking on the first rounders, like, which is so valuable.
Yeah.
Especially with a first rounder on a team like Knicks is potentially very high.
Yeah. I mean, what we're not also taking into account is if Nick is in the bottom 4, that's a compensation pick.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and we know the history of how good comp picks are.
Yeah. So I mean, with that in mind, this debatably isn't even close to me.
Yeah, right. That's exactly. I mean, think of it that way. Is a comp pick higher than Peralta? Absolutely. Every single way.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see. That's if that happens. But
yeah. To me, so then so okay, you're retalking me into being confident and saying that Sam just wins this.
Yeah, I think it's not even close, especially with that knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge. Knowledge. But one thing I do want to clarify for when this podcast gets released, by the way, we did reread the rules, or at least I did, the bylaws. And again, I want to reiterate, if they are a minor league player on the free agency, so say a guy drops a minor league player, you can't pick up that player. We're kind of screwed into the system because we had to do a player lock to make sure that minor league players that get called up to the majors don't get added to our player pool. But unfortunately, the reverse effect of that is we can't take guys off the player pool either, just individually. So what I want to just lead that off with is Wilman Diaz, who's dropped, will not be able to be picked up. Same thing with any other minor league players you see, such as Bruce Zimmerman right here. I haven't seen any other ones, but if there were any other minor leaguers that got dropped, you will not be able to pick them up. You can only access them through the MLB draft. I'm going to keep a better eye on that. I didn't really quite. Honestly, I had it written down in my bylaws, and then I just didn't remember it. I guess at the time I
You
misinterpreted.
can thank Derek for that.
Yeah, you guys can all
Thank Derek who bitched at me, who bitched at Cody. The system works.
I will say you didn't really bitch at me that much.
No.
You basically just brought it up, and then you were like, because we were like, what do the rules say? And then I finally went back and reread it, and then it was basically saying only non-minor league players are accessible via free agency. So it just was what it was right there. But we got that corrected out. Refunded Sam his money for the bid. So just a note to the league on that.
Yeah, cool. I agree with that in principle. So awesome. We talked about the teams. We talked about trades. Anything else you want to bring up, my beautiful boy?
Honestly, I don't really think there is right now. I'm really looking forward to having somebody on next week. I'm also kind of excited that we didn't really go too long with this. This might be the shortest podcast we ever do.
You'd be surprised. It's still about an hour, but
short, super short. This is what we were always planning on.
I'll find ways to edit it to get to less than an hour.
Soundboard. You can finally put in the soundboard.
Perfect.
Or
spoilers.
Yeah. Be prepared. I think within the next couple months, we are planning on redoing the intro to actually have a video intro. Still in the works, but just a little spoiler for you guys.
Still in the works. We haven't even fucking started.
Still in the works. We're brainstorming. We're storming.
You are the most political. You're just like every video game development company. They're like, oh, yeah, it's in the works. And then all the guys are like drinking like, yeah, we haven't started the game.
Yeah, but I put a time frame down on it. So if you guys don't see it in 2 weeks, tough. Then you'll see it in 3 weeks or 3 weeks. Oh shit, I meant 2 months. You don't see it in 2 months.
I can hear the league clamoring for this right now.
Yeah. We want an intro video. We want an intro video.
Perfect. Yeah, so someday you might be seeing that at the start of the videos, but today is not that day. And with that, we'll close down the podcast. Thanks for listening again to the Midwest Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Talk to you soon.